What is up, phony baseball fans? This is Greg Smith coming to you with another draft video. This is draft video number 3, and today we're drafting on ESPN. I figure if you've watched either of the first 2 draft videos, you know how I draft, so this might be the last video of the preseason, and I want to have some fun. I'm going to kind of depart from my typical draft strategy. I'm going to take some pitchers a little earlier today. I might prioritize catcher a little bit. So we're gonna play around. We're gonna have some fun. The first 2 picks were Miguel Cabrera and Ryan Braun. Trout slipping to number 3 is not something that I've seen very often this season, but I mean, it's not indefensible. There he goes. We got an auto picker here at number 4, and then I'm picking 6th. Now I said I'm gonna take some pitchers. I might still pass on one here in the first round. Make sure I get at least one kind of elite bat. Hopefully someone like Cano or Kemp or Votto, and then trying to land Kershaw, Verlander, or Strasburg in the second round. If I don't get one of those guys in the second round, I won't be heartbroken. I'll think about it more in like the third round for some of these other guys, your Hamels, your Cliff Lees, Matt Cain style pitchers. But yeah, we're going to see what happens. I'm not sold on this draft strategy at all, and I'm kind of just going to make it up as I go, to be honest. But yeah, I wanted to depart from what you have seen already just to kind of see what a team looks like when you do select pitchers early and catchers early and basically go against all of my hard and fast fantasy rules. I'm also going to try to avoid some of the players I've drafted multiple times in other videos. Like I think I always end up with, or I always talk about guys like Todd Frazier and who else? Like some of the late closer values. Anyway, we will be back real soon with our own pick. Hang tight. All right, that sound means that we're up. The ensuing picks after Trout were Robinson Cano and Matt Kemp. That has me looking at Albert Pujols at the top of my rankings. Joey Votto's very close, but I don't know. Maybe I will just take a pitcher to start things off here. Nah, screw it. Let's take a hitter. I'm gonna take Pujols. These are projected stats. I hate projected stats. They don't mean anything. Here we go. Albert Pujols, welcome to the team. We'll be back for round 2 in just a moment. All right, here we are back for round 2. After I took Pujols, the next picks were Votto, Carlos Gonzalez, Prince Fielder, Andrew McCutchen, Steven Strasburg, and Troy Tulowitzki. So Strasburg going as the first pitcher overall is kind of interesting. I would usually expect Verlander or Kershaw to go ahead of him. I don't think you can argue with the pick necessarily. I think he's got just as much of a ceiling as either of those other guys does. Yeah, there are 2 picks left before I come up here. Assuming Verlander and Kershaw don't get taken, I'll take one of them. I have Verlander ranked higher, but I think they're very, very close. I don't think you can really go wrong with either one. I would probably take Verlander, but Kershaw was just selected. The guy on the clock picked Votto in the first round. We'll see what he does here. If he does, in fact, take Verlander, I'll probably take one more. Yep, he took Verlander. I'm on the clock. I could take Posey here. A pick that I've been quick to bash every time someone else has made it. Let's see. I think I'm going to pass on him for now. I'm going to take Giancarlo Stanton here. He's at the top of my rankings, and I think I can get a quality pitcher in the third round, whether it's Hernandez or Price or Cliff Lee or Hamels. I don't like Cain as much as those other pitchers, so if he's the guy I end up having to take, I'll be a little less excited, but who knows. Stanton is making it onto the roster, and I'll be back in just a moment for round 3. Here we are back in round 3. After I took Stanton, the next picks were Jose Bautista, Justin Upton, Buster Posey, David Wright, Josh Hamilton, David Price, and Dustin Pedroia. We have 3 picks coming up here, one of which is an auto pick. The fact that Beltre and Longoria are still available here in the third round is pretty enticing. I keep talking about how I would change up my draft strategy, but that just seems like too good a value to pass on, although Beltre is going to go past this auto picker, so now it's just whether or not Longoria makes it back to me here. The guy on the clock has Kemp and Bautista right now, so he'll probably take another bat. I'm assuming it looks like he's on that kind of a strategy. You never know for sure, but Yeah, I've got Longoria easily at the top of my rankings, and he just took Jared Weaver. So the pick comes down to Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels, Matt Cain, or Evan Longoria. I also have Adrian Gonzalez close to the top of my rankings. I'm not going to pass on Longoria here just because I feel like the value is too good. I think that he could be the best third baseman besides Miguel Cabrera this season. And I like him more than Beltre to an extent. I do think that Beltre is a safer pick. Yeah, maybe one of these other pitchers will come back to me next round. If not, maybe I could jump on Craig Kimbrell and really blow up my draft strategy. But the first 3 rounds, I'm going to play it safe and stick to my general strategy. And I promise, I'll start deviating very soon. Here we go, Longoria, welcome to the team. And we'll be back for round 4 in just a minute. After the Evan Longoria pick, the next picks were Bryce Harper, Adrian Gonzalez, Matt Cain, Jay Bruce, and Billy Butler. As far as the Adrian Gonzalez pick goes, I've found that regardless of the fact that he's ranked so low on both ESPN and Yahoo in the overall rankings, he tends to go in the 3rd or 4th round of most drafts. So if you're banking on getting him in the later round based upon the fact that he's buried in these big site rankings, you can't necessarily do that in your own drafts. I would expect that most fantasy players are savvy enough to know that Adrian Gonzalez is the type of player who had a bad year last year and very well could get back to 30 home runs, 100 runs, 100 RBIs, and a 300-plus batting average this season. The fact that in Yahoo leagues he has dual eligibility, and the fact that in Yahoo leagues you can get that at the end of the 3rd, early 4th round, means that he's probably not going to be there in the rankings where he's featured, which is in like the 40s and 50s overall. After Billy Butler, Edwin Encarnacion, and Cole Hamels were selected, we have one more team on the clock here before we come up, and I'm going to take Cliff Lee if he's there, and if he's not, I'll take Craig Kimbrell. Why the hell not? The other starters I like here are, well, the next highest one ESPN has ranked is Gio Gonzalez and Adam Wainwright. I think if we look at my starting pitcher ranks, I have Wainwright ahead of Gio, as well as Madison Bumgarner, R.A. Dickey, Chris Sale. So our opponent ahead of us took Jose Reyes. So yeah, Cliff Lee, welcome to the team. This is the first time I've taken a pitcher before the 5th or 6th round, I think all preseason. So consider yourself lucky, fake baseballers. This is an iconic moment you're watching. All right, after the Cliff Lee pick, Gio Gonzalez went, then Ian Kinsler, Jason Hayward, Adam Jones, Craig Kimbrell, Matt Holliday, Ben Zobrist. I've been kind of keeping track of what my team would have looked like if I hadn't deviated necessarily. So the first 3 rounds would have been about the same. Pujols, Stanton, Longoria were each the top of my rankings when I came up to select my player. Now, last round when I took Cliff Lee, the guy at the top of my rankings was Ian Kinsler. So maybe at the end of the draft or when I post the video online, I can put up a list or a roster that could have been if we had followed my rankings, and then we can compare which we liked more. After Zobrist was selected, then Starlin Castro and Brandon Phillips were taken. The top of my rankings right now are Zimmerman, Ellsbury, Alan Craig, Yoenis Cespedes, Paul Goldschmidt, Adam Wainwright. The top of the Yahoo rankings are Jacoby Ellsbury, BJ Upton, Yadi Molina, and Adam Wainwright. So I'm looking to take a pitcher here. Wainwright is the guy I have ranked the highest, but if we're deviating, we might as well really deviate. I might take Bumgarner or Yu Darvish here, just as guys that I haven't owned in any leagues yet, and just to kind of diversify and see what a different team would look like. But we'll see what happens here with the guy picking in front of us. Brandon Phillips was selected, and then Ryan Zimmerman. Turn the sounds off again. So yeah, we're looking at Bumgarner or Wainwright. And I mean, how much do we really want to play around with the rankings, I guess is the real question. If I were selecting here for my own team, I would take Ellsbury or Alan Craig. And while I have Ellsbury ranked higher, I like Craig more. With that said, I'd probably take Ellsbury just because I feel like my team's pretty solid on power. The stolen bases that Ellsbury provides would be a bit more of a priority. That said, I'm still back to this decision between Bumgarner and Wainwright. It's a tough one. I think I'm going to go with Wainwright. I'll stick to my rankings for the most part, even if I'm going against my overall rankings. And who knows, maybe Bumgarner will slip to the next round. But yeah, prioritizing pitching, who knew? This is going to be fun. After the Wainwright pick, the next guys selected were Yu Darvish, Yoenis Cespedes, Jacoby Ellsbury, Jason Kipnis, and Ian Desmond. We got 3 picks coming here before we're up. Joe Mauer was just selected. He was a guy I was thinking about taking here just as a kind of a catcher selection. I like him a lot more than Yadi Molina and Matt Wieters. With that said, coming up, I'm thinking Alan Craig might be the pick. I mean, I understand I've talked about taking pitchers early here, but I've done 2 of those in the first 5 rounds, so at some point I'm going to have to get back to filling out my offense, and this might be the round to do that. Bumgarner would also be an interesting selection here. He's the other guy I'm looking at. If for some reason Bumgarner and Alan Craig are both selected, then I could get creative. And I don't know, the other guys I'd look at would be R.A. Dickey and Chris Sale, and maybe just another bat. Pick up Paul Goldschmidt for the utility, or even B.J. Upton as the top-ranked ESPN player here. Aramis Ramirez and Alan Craig were selected, so that makes the choice pretty easy here. I'm going to go with Bumgarner. I do not feel good about my offense at this point, and I think that's just because I'm a little bit out of my comfort zone. And while it's awkward for me now, it's probably good for my fantasy game in general to be practicing a draft like this, taking more pitchers and avoiding falling into the same patterns over and over again, because when you become predictable in fantasy sports, it becomes easier for your opponents to beat you, especially if you play with the same guys in the same league over and over again. Going back to what I was talking about earlier about how I would keep track of who I would take at any given point in the draft if I wasn't kind of fooling around like I am today, I probably would have still taken Bumgarner there, and he would have been the first pitcher I selected. So the Greg's ranking team would have looked like this: Pujols, Kinsler, Longoria, Giancarlo Stanton, Jacoby Ellsbury, and Madison Bumgarner. Like, that's a pretty good start, I think. Is it better than the start we currently have going with Pujols, Longoria, Stanton, Lee, Wainwright, and Bumgarner? I'm not totally sure, but at the end of the draft, we'll have a better idea when both rosters look full. So, yeah, keep that in mind, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay, after the Bumgarner pick, Uggla, Upton, Yadi Molina, Sabathia, Matt Wieters, Johnny Cueto, Chris Sale, Brett Laurie, and Michael Bourne were taken. The Brett Laurie pick was an auto pick. I actually selected him in draft video number 2, not really realizing that he was going to start the year in the DL. Zach Greinke was just selected. Right now, the top of my rankings is Paul Goldschmidt. R.A. Dickey is the top of the ESPN rankings, and he's the highest rated pitcher on my list. And you know what? I think I'm going to take him. We're going to round out a pretty awesome pitching staff, in my own opinion, here. I know we didn't get any of the super elite top 5 guys, but between Lee, Wainwright, Bumgarner, and Dickey, I like this staff a lot. And one of the things that this does open me up to is the ability to just only draft hitters for a while after I take Dickey. So I'm going to take him. We'll say that in the other case, if I was drafting quote-unquote for real, it would come down to him or Goldschmidt here. And I don't know, let's say I would have taken Dickey in both cases. So, yeah. Welcome to the team, RA. We'll catch you guys in just a minute for round 8. So the next 4 picks after Dickey were Pablo Sandoval, Paul Goldschmidt, Austin Jackson, and Aaron Hill. There goes Freddie Freeman. So with the team I've got going here, I think I need to start taking some more bats, or if I want to get real crazy and keep going down the strange train tracks I'm going down, Aroldis Chapman, a catcher, either Carlos Santana or Victor Martinez would be interesting. The other closer available here is Papelbon. So any of those would be kind of a weird one for me. I definitely don't take closers this early. I never end up with the elite guys like Chapman or Kimbrel. Latos and Shields were just selected. If I were picking for real here, I'd be very excited to grab Alex Rios and kind of add to my stolen base total, fill up one of these 5 outfield spots to go along with Ellsbury and Stanton. So that still might be the correct pick here, considering my first 4 picks were these kind of good starting pitchers. I think at some point, even if you are going in on pitchers early, you do need to shift gears and start going after offense. But who knows? I don't think I'm going to take a starter here, but I might take a closer. If Chapman is available, I'd be pretty excited to get him. But I think the pick boils down to, well, there goes Chapman. So now the pick boils down to Rios or a catcher. As much as I would like to get crazy with a catcher at this spot, I do not think that that's something that I ever really want to draft highly in a year like 2013, just because there are so many quality options a little later in the draft, whether it's Willen Rosario or Salvador Perez. I can't in good conscience make that pick right now. So between Papelbon and Rios, I'm going to go with Rios. I need a 4th bat here. He's the pick I would make for a real draft and in this draft. So I'll make a note of that, and we'll catch you in just a moment for round 9. All right, we're back. After Rios went Mike Napoli, Desmond Jennings, Carlos Santana, Shin-Soo Choo, Jordan Zimmerman, Elvis Andrus, Giovanni Gallardo, Jimmy Rollins, and Jonathan Papelbon were taken. The top of the rankings here are Alex Gordon, Chris Medlin, and Matt Moore. These are the Yahoo rankings. Then Jose Altuve and Victor Martinez. I might take Martinez here. Take a catcher early. I never do that. And I do like Martinez a lot relative to some of the other guys you can get at the position. The fact that he's going to DH most of the time means that you're going to get more at-bats out of him. He's going to bat in the middle of a really potent lineup. And yeah, I don't think you can really go wrong with him as your catcher. The fact that you have to spend a 9th rounder on him is kind of a drag. But as far as the other options available to me right now go, I'm not super excited about any of them, to be honest. One guy I like who's right here in the rankings is Carlos Gomez. At this point with the other team, with the hypothetical team, I would probably take one of the starters in this zone, whether it be Matt Moore or Chris Medlin, or I would take Carlos Gomez. But I have a feeling Gomez will make it to the next round. I'm going to take Victor Martinez here, and we'll say that if I was drafting for real, let's see who I have ranked higher, Moore or Medlin. I have Chris Medlin a couple spots ahead of Matt Moore, don't I? Sure looks like it. Yeah, just a couple. So, yeah, I probably would have taken Medlin there, although it's close. Now, let's say I would have taken Gomez. I think that's probably a pick I'd be more likely to make in the other scenario. But in this case, we took Victor Martinez. Hopefully that'll work out, and we'll find out later. Catch you in the next round.